Welcome to another edition of Coding with Chapa. Got my coffee. Gotta have coffee first thing in the morning. And we are ready to code. Let's code. Alright, so here's the thing. As Evan pointed out in class, I misspelled array. So let's clean that up. Okay, so we have the spelling fixed. And but there was a couple other things I could have done better. Just oversights, early morning stuff. And the first one that jumped out at me was this double. There was no reason, excuse me, there was no reason to declare a double for the counts. That made no sense. So let's get rid of that. It should have been an int. Good. Now the counts are an int. Makes sense. Good. Okay. The other thing that we should have done, or could be done better, I'm used to using counts. We probably should have used a length. It doesn't change the functionality at all, but let's make it right. There we go. So the things that we cleaned up, the count should have been an int, since a count is always a whole integer. There was no reason to use a double. And we probably should have used length instead of count. So run this thing, and it should still do its thing. Haven't tested it, so we're going to find out. Great. Okay, still works. Let's kill it. And so that's the corrections that I wanted to demo from the last chunk of code. Okay, so let's get out of this. Let me kill this thing too. And we're going to start a new solution to do a new example. New project, Visual Basic. This time though, we're going to do a console app, and we're just going to call this member name underscore array example number 2. Works for me. I decided to go to the console because I don't have to worry about the forms and dealing with more than what I need to deal with in order to demonstrate an array. So we're going to do it that way. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to work with a more complicated array, something that I have not introduced you to, called a multi-dimensional array. And so we are going to create a 3 by 2, and we could create any type we want, but for this example, we're going to do a 3 by 2 just because those are numbers that popped in my head. So just like everything else, we have to declare our array. And yes, Evan, I will spell it correctly this time. We're going to call ours matrix just for fun, and we, in this case, probably going to use an int. It could be doubles, doesn't matter. And we have to tell it what the dimensions are. So in this case, we're going to do that and just kind of leave it alone. And I am going to show you some variations of what we could do there, but I'll go over that in a minute. For simplicity, I'm just going to, for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to use sequential numbers, but I mean, these could be anything. I'm sorry, my fingers are tired. I've been working a lot lately. And, just a little slow. Okay, so what have we done? We have declared a 3x2 array. You can see there are three elements and two there'll be 2 dimensions to it. So a 3x2 dimensional, multi-dimensional array is what this is called. Okay, so we went ahead and populated it. We have declared it. We named it. We said it's going to be an integer 16, and we have given it some values. So here we've initialized it with some values. Now let's run the code for how to pull those values out. And this is where things are, I'd say, a bit more complicated than what you saw in the last example. So because we're dealing with 2 dimensions now, we have to, or multi-dimensional array, we have to do 2 loops instead of 1. And that's where things are going to bother some of you. But we'll get through it. We have to find the upper bound. There we go. And we have to do the same for the second loop. This one is going to be a 1 because it has to get the start at the next index. So it's not quite as straightforward as the other one that we did. So we have 2 loops going on. The first loop is iterating through the first indexes. The second one is iterating through the second indexes so that we can pull out our numbers. Now we could pull out just one of these numbers, like we just want to grab the number 1. And then in which case we'd only iterate through one index. But because I want to pull out both indexes that are related, the 1 and the 2, the 3 and the 4, the 5 and the 6 together, I have to do 2 loops to go through both indexes to get the information out. So that's why there's 2 loops. Here, things are going to be a little bit different than you've been doing so far, because in the past we've been doing forms, and but this is no different. Right here is where you would simply output to your text to a text box. But like I said, to make things a little simpler for me, I'm just going to output to the console. And I'll explain this stuff in a minute. So let me finish doing this, and then we'll talk. Okay, what did I do wrong? $sign. Oh, come on. And yes, I'm going to explain all this in a moment. Cool. Okay, so what we've done is we declared an array. You can see it has the 3 dimensions with the 2 dimensions on the inside here. And we created a loop to pull when we populated our array. And then we created 2 loops. And we had to create 2 loops to pull out both sets of numbers. Again, I want to emphasize you don't necessarily have to do that. If you just want to pull out the 1 or the 2, you would only have to write 1 loop to pull those out. And then again, like I've said before, you want to use I and J. You don't have to use I and J. You could use other variables if you want to, but traditionally for loops we use I and J. So if you want to code like other coders, you're going to want to do this. The other thing that's new for you is this little $sign. And all the $sign is it's a string literal that's used as an interpolated string. So what does that mean? that means that everything after the $sign that's inside these two quotes is a combination of literal text and interpolated text. So in this case, everything that's inside these two brackets, so this bracket here and this bracket here, is actually the variables that we're passing. So we're passing the array I and j. If I wanted to, though, I could put some text in here and say, here's your array, or something along those lines. I could do something in there. It would be kind of cool. Okay, so now, like I said, declared, initialized, and we have our two for loops to which we found our upper bound for each one, and 0 for the first for the 0 index, 1 for the next index here, and now we're gonna run this thing and see what happens. Oh, and I forgot something. Okay, so it ran, but it ran really fast, and we couldn't see it. So the next thing I need to do is, I made a little mistake here, is this needs to be inside or we're never going to catch the data. And I need to add another line of code here, which is going to be console dot. Here's something else new for you to read. This is not something that you would use in your applications that are outputting to a form, but you do need to have it to output to a console, otherwise it'll go too fast. So having said that, here we go, and it output to the console, and here you can see it output the actual numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we our outer loop and our inner loop worked. It output the data correctly from the array. Cool. So one more thing I want to show you. When we declare this, we can tell it how many. We can tell it the dimensions inside the declaration when we're actually declaring the array and initializing it. So here we're going to say 2 and 1, and we can run that again. And guess what? It still works. Okay. So why 2 and 1? That's going to be confusing for y'all. 1 second. You cannot code without coffee. If you're having difficulty with your coding, have coffee. Lots of coffee. All right. So 2, the index here is always whatever this number is plus 1. So if you're looking at a 3 by 2 dimensional array, you're looking at 2 plus 1, which equals 3, and 1 plus 1, which equals 2. So that's all this means. This 2 plus 1 is 3, this 1 plus 1 is 2, and that gives you the 3 by 2 dimensional array. 3 by 2 dimensional array. So that's all this means. Okay? So whether you leave them out or you declare them inside this spot right here, it works the same. It just depends on how you want to do it. Not really a big deal. So that's it for this segment. Nice, short, and sweet. I gave you a lot to think about. The code is here. Practice it, learn it. Try doing some different multi-dimensionals. You could try a 4 by 3 or something else, increase some numbers. And you can also import this into your calculators and run it if you want to collect more than one variable from your calculator. Let's say you want to collect 2 operands. You would use something like this. If you want to use collect all 3, and then of course you would need to add a third element here. But so that's it. I wish you all a great day and happy coding. All right.